Businesses today are constantly struggling to truly understand their audiences, despite making significant investments in social media and digital marketing. Many find it challenging to decode complex consumer behaviors and preferences. Traditional analytics often fall short, providing only surface level insights which fail to drive impactful decisions. This lack of deep understanding leads to missed opportunities, ineffective marketing strategies, and ultimately lower ROI. Imagine continually pushing out campaigns that don't resonate, wasting valuable resources, and seeing little to no engagement. The frustration grows as businesses like yours realize that knowing their audience is no longer a nice to have, but a need to have for survival and growth in a competitive landscape. That's what we're covering in today's episode of the MarTech Show.
The past is gone. Now is the future.
This is the MarTech Show, exploring today's marketing technology solutions. Social media, artificial intelligence, augmented reality.
Now is the future.
Content, SEO, email, analytics, listening, advertising, and more. I'm your host, Mike Allton, and I'm joined by agency owner and technology futurist Robin Dimond. Each episode explores the latest developments in marketing technology and shares new solutions and innovative approaches that you need to know about to grow your business today. And now, the rest of today's episodes. Welcome back to the MarTech Show, where Robin and I get to dish on what's shiny and new in the MarTech space and then do a deep dive into a specific platform or a solution that can help you in your business today. Hey, Robin, how are you doing?
Fantastic. This is a great day.
It is a great day. So happy you're here because we've got some big news to talk about. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the latest news from Cupertino. In this week's Developers Conference, Apple announced all the upcoming enhancements to their various operating systems. The big news, of course, was that they're integrating AI into virtually every aspect of iOS and macOS. They announced this partnership with OpenAI that's going to integrate that large language model into Siri, giving the voice assistant an incredible upgrade. And they also announced their new Apple Intelligence, which leverages a private local language model. That AI runs on your device and essentially knows everything you do on and with your device, giving you a personal assistant at your fingertips. What was also interesting from a marketing perspective was how they handled the entire keynote, from literal jumps to other employees for specific announcements to the reiteration of the importance of privacy throughout. Some might say this was a masterclass in product marketing and audience understanding. What did you think of it all, Robin?
Honestly, everything you just said, it was so much to take in and handle. And I don't even know where to focus, but the marketing of itself, from stepping back, and there's some things like the Super Bowl that there's just these big announcements, and Apple hit a home run when they did this. How they brought in the characters, how they talked about it. It was amazing. But when we look at the platform itself and what it's about to do, I know people are thinking, oh, this could be scary. But Mike, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I could be relieved. It helps show birthdays. It sends gifts. It was amazing on how it even integrated your pictures and the privacy. And so where do we start in talking about this?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for what Siri is going to be able to do for us. And I was really interested in how they rolled it all out. I thought they did really, really well with bringing in different voices, focusing on different aspects of the product. It was, I know, frustrating to some who knew AI was coming as part of the announcement, and yet it was after an hour's worth of other things that you had to sit through. But then again, from a marketer, that's what I want. I want the lead to come after you've already had to listen to everything else that I'm talking about, don't you think?
I mean, honestly, it was the perfect setup. It was a home run how they like made it go. And we watch all these sporting events, and it doesn't even get really good until the end anyways. And so for me as a marketer looking at it, I was like, this was a great announcement. And I love the different ideas that it brought because it kept you thinking, and it kept being like, okay, what are they going to say? It kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, speaking of knowing your audience, while Apple and their devices will now seemingly know everything about us, as marketers, we still have major challenges when it comes to knowing our own target audiences, defining those audiences, figuring out the behaviors, and then knowing how to actually make use of those insights. That can be a little elusive, but that's exactly what Jonathann Mingoia is going to talk to us about. Joe is a renowned audience intelligence specialist with over a decade of experience in the field, currently serving as the Chief Enterprise Solutions Officer at Audience. Jonathann plays a pivotal role in driving the company's vision to bring consumer research into the digital era. His expertise spans across social media, digital intelligence, and e-reputation management. With a robust background and utilizing data-driven approaches to understand consumer behavior, Joe's helped numerous businesses enhance their marketing strategies, optimize their operations, and achieve significant growth. His passion and insights make him a sought-after expert in the realm of audience intelligence, and we are lucky to have him here. Hey, Joe, welcome to the show.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Robin. Super happy to be in this interview with both of you. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So excited. Now, if you could start by just telling us a little bit more about audience and your role there, Joe.
Yeah, with pleasure. So audience basically is providing audience intelligence through SaaS platform to brands and agency. But to share with you a bit of my background. So I started to work in the social media space for more than 15 years ago by creating a social listening tool. And later we worked in Group M in Belgium, the media agency, by creating the social department. And at that time, it was the early moment of the social media. So we're mainly educating brands about how social media was important in the marketing mix, and also to help brands to implement the foundation of social. At that time was mainly creation of Facebook fan page, generating community and engagement. And during that period, we worked closely with different marketers, mainly about the social paid campaign. And it was quite amazing because social media was generating a very high level of performance when we were driving ad campaign. I remember, for instance, that when we were working with automotive brands, the average cost per test drive, so leads that were completing a test drive form, was 6 times cheaper than all the online ad campaign alternative. So it was a no-brainer for marketers to invest more and more in social media in terms of ad campaign. But in the same time, they were quite frustrated because Facebook was a black box. So they were realizing that they were generating high performance. So Meta was knowing very well audiences, but Meta was not sharing who was the audience that was so responsive. So it was the main pain point of marketeer at that time. And it was a trigger for us with my business partner and myself to try uncover how Meta was identifying and qualifying their audiences and how we could create an audience profiling tool that was able to extract what Meta knows about audiences. And it has been the starting point of Soprism, which is a digital intelligence. And we have been acquired now for more than 2 years now with Audience. And Audience is the pioneer in audience intelligence. So we are completing their current stack, and we are now providing a one-stop shop solution in terms of audience intelligence, serving more than 2,000 customers, big and small, brand and agency, by providing mainly audience insights from social and digital data to inform marketing, to inform audience strategy for marketing, PR, communication, partnership, and sponsoring strategy. So it has been, for the Soprism team and for myself, a very amazing opportunity to join Audience, because we had the possibility to move from a tool dedicated to serve specific use cases to a full tech stack, very well integrated into all the tools such as listening tool, paneling tool, and being recognized by the market as the foundation of all the audience intelligence solution for organizations which are inserting customer and audience at the heart of their strategy. And today my role at Audience is mainly focused in 2 areas. The first area is in bridging our expertise coming from our solution tool with our solution team, with the data capabilities we have from our different tools to achieve more advanced enterprise use case, but also working alongside the success team we have in order to monitor the value alignment of our customers and also supporting our customer to achieve their use case and elevating the full value they can get from our tool.
So powerful.
Yeah, love your background in social media and where you came from. And thank you for helping us understand Audience. I think for everyone, and the question is, and if you could help us with this, is how does it differ? How does audience intelligence differ from the social and digital intelligence that you're talking about?
Yeah, so let me start maybe by demystifying what is audience intelligence by highlighting what audience intelligence is not. So audience intelligence, in order to avoid any confusing association with a different solution existing using social data, audience intelligence is not social listening. So we are not providing monitoring of conversation and tracking how it's evolving, tonality of topics and conversation across different social channels. But we are super complementary to social listening because we have the ability to describe who are the audiences who are generating those conversation online. And audience intelligence is not their social analytics. So we are not providing metrics about engagement or ad performance or any metrics related to the activity of community manager. But we can complement that set of insights by providing a full description and understanding about, for instance, who are the audiences that are active behind a Facebook fan page or an Instagram account. So basically, audience intelligence is really audience understanding by using a combination of multiple methodologies and data point to develop personal segmentation, understanding the passion point of audiences, and also getting a sense of what are the value of audience. And yeah, this is a crucial layer before starting any kind of operation in the marketing or communication. So when we are talking about who is my target group, what are the different segments existing in my audience, and what are the unique patterns of each of those different segments, what are the affinity with brands, what type of influencers can create an acquisition of net new audiences, or for instance, what are the personality traits of the different segments that are composing my audience. We are talking about use cases that are fully covered by audience intelligence. And yes, typically the methodology behind audience intelligence is collecting information from different social channels through APIs, so in a compliant way with no scraping data in a way that is not respecting the terms and conditions of platforms. So fully compliantly, we are gathering those data, we are structuring this data, we augment the data and enrich these insights by clustering, adding scoring, cleaning and aggregating different set of information in order to create new categories that are not existing from API. And we are delivering that knowledge about audiences to our customers into self-service platforms, SaaS platform that they can use in an autonomous way, brand and agencies, and where they will get clean visualization and chart that are highlighting what are the key patterns that describe the audience, what are the key brands with who the audience have a strong affinity, and all those insights in order to improve and support marketing and communication operation. So you mentioned what was the difference of audience intelligence and social and digital intelligence. So audience intelligence is the big umbrella, and in audience intelligence we are using different methodologies as we have described, and among those methodologies we have social intelligence and digital intelligence. So social intelligence is the foundational layer of the audience understanding, where, for instance, we are working on an individual level by using proxies such as X in order to understand the follow graph of each members and understand through the interconnectivity about members, what are the unique segments that are composing an audience. And this is a strong layer of the audience intelligence because this is very well connected with the social listening due to the fact that a lot of conversation are coming from X when you are doing social media monitoring conversation. And when we add the X authors, we can understand who are the people who are generating those conversations. And on top of knowing who they are, we can understand what are the all the interest they have, but they have not mentioned in their conversation. So it's an extension of understanding and adding that layer about who are the audiences. And when we are talking about digital intelligence, this is another methodology working mainly with advertising API insights. So Prism, for instance, the company that we have funded and that has been acquired by Audience, is working with the meta advertising API. And we have the ability with those insights to work on an aggregated and anonymized level, but tapping into 2.8 billion active users worldwide through the members of Instagram, through the members of Facebook. And yes, on top of having the possibility to describe all the audiences behind the meta interest category, we can also, because this is anonymized and aggregated information, generate audience profiling reporting on first-party audiences, for instance, website visitors, customers. And yes, audience intelligence is the combination of these two type of methodologies. And by combining these type of tools that are typically used by our customers alongside each other, we have the capability to capture 100% of the online audience. And it's the core foundation of any audience intelligence project. And it's complementing each other because the individual level enabled to identify the cultural segment of any audience, and the aggregated level enabled to tap into the biggest digital panel existing worldwide based on behavioral data. And with that full set of insights, you can get 360-degree understanding and holistic view of any kind of target groups for a brand.
I'm glad you mentioned the API that you use and the compliance factor, because I think that's really important for folks to understand. When we're talking about this kind of audience analysis, it is aggregated. It's not personal data. You are compliant with GDPR and all the other regulations because you're not identifying that Mike Allton did this action or took this action. I'm part of a group, a segment. So thanks for sharing that. But what other kinds of tools and technologies are essential for this kind of audience intelligence to even take place? Obviously, you need to have more than just a website. What else do they need?
Yeah, so we talked about previously the fact that audience intelligence is based on social and digital intelligence, but for an effective audience intelligence strategy, it's at 100% key to diversify the source of data. And we have observed that, for instance, the audience strategy success is directly correlated with the diversity of data source we are using. And it's quite normal because when you want to understand, for example, the nuance and complexity of consumer behaviors, it comes from combining different lens of analysis, observation to get that full picture about a target audience. And about that, a recent study from Porch Group Media highlighted that only 14% of marketeers are relying in 2 or less audience insight source for their audience strategy. 50%, so half of the marketeers respondent in that study, are using between 3 and 5 different audience insight source, and 28% are using 7 or more data source when they are building their audience strategy. And for this last group, those that are using more audience insights source, this is the group which is generating the best business outcome. It's the reason why we consider that foundation of audience intelligence should combine methodology and data source, and we are providing those type of solution with audience insights, which is social intelligence, and so Prism, which is digital intelligence. Also because this type of audience data source are quite powerful due to the fact that they are ongoingly updated. So as this is based on data coming from activities of users on social channels, when you're generating a study or profiling, you get the insights from the moment you have generated that analysis. And if it happens some shift in the cultural patterns, The moment you are generating the profiling, you get that timely view about this intelligence, this different insights. The second point, which is also quite important, is the fact that by combining social and digital, you have the possibility to cover, you can have a global coverage with the possibility to get insights on a global level with 3 billion active users on Meta, but also on a national level, on a county level, on a state, on a city level. So it's representing quite the overall digital population that those source of insights. And last point that is quite interesting is also the fact that as we are generating audience insights based on behavioral data, you can't lie. So your real activities, your real consumption of content is reflecting who you are, and your behavior online cannot be modified or cannot be changed in a way that you want to be perceived in a different way than you truly are. So it's important that the fact that behavioral data means not biased information. But on top of the social and digital intelligence solution, there are also other sources of data that could complement that stack. For instance, social listening, we talked about that, is enabling to track how the interest, the concern, the feedback of consumers are evolving over their digital channel, and also observe and identify what are the new emerging trends coming from conversation in different communities. Or for instance, online panel or survey based on this case based on declarative data. In that case, it's providing a complementary angle of understanding of audience by knowing, for instance, the media consumption, the intent in purchasing product, but also advanced socioeconomic insights. Another layer is doing a deep diving in a small group, so doing focus group, where we can have a very small group, and where we can do qualitative analysis about, for instance, what are the feedback they have about packaging, or what are the motivational trigger to buy a product, what are the main barrier to buy one product versus the competition. So it's the last level in order to get that last details that it's enabling to get the full understanding about audiences. And we know that big corporations are also integrating into their audience intelligence stack a lot of first-party data. So for instance, point of sales information, transactional data, reps out browsing behaviors and activities are also integrated in order to get that full picture and to build that strong layer of audience intelligence in an organization.
When we're looking at this, there's so much to unpack right there. When we're looking at this, when we're looking at the behavior, like how are behavior analysts on these platforms like Meta, how do they decrypt the audience behaviors? How is Meta qualifying its members too?
Yeah, so we know that Meta is super powerful in doing that job. I think that one of the main value today of Meta is about the knowledge they have on 3 billion digital users. And they are gathering and they are qualifying their members by using different social signal and different methodology. One of the methodology is when we are creating a profile into Instagram, into Meta, into Messenger, into WhatsApp, we are sharing some information, but they are also gathering information in real time from our mobile device or devices where we are going to the Meta platform. So they know exactly where we are going out of our home, where we are going on holidays. So they track and they can get information from our device. So this is information based on a deterministic approach. But the biggest layer and the biggest knowledge that Meta is building is by inferring interest, preferences to their members, even if they are not explicitly saying that they have an interest for a brand, for a lifestyle, sport, for any kind of other passion point. And how they are doing that? They are analyzing everything we are doing inside Meta and outside Meta. So for instance, in Meta, they are analyzing our visible interaction, like, comment, share, if we are, for instance, doing some publication, some posts, for instance, but also invisible interaction when I'm clicking on an ad, when I'm watching a video post, when I am going into the search engine and look and searching a specific brand in the search engine of Meta, going to marketplace and searching some type of product. So all those invisible activities are gathered by Meta in order to enrich what they are knowing about each of us. But there is another layer which is quite powerful, is the content consumption approach. When I'm going into my Instagram newsfeed and I'm scrolling to consume my content in a passive way with no interacting, my average speed scroll is analyzed by the algorithm of Meta, and Meta is able to identify that I'm paying attention every time I'm faced with a product coming from a specific brand or any type of content linked to a specific topic I'm spending more time. So everything we are doing inside Meta is analyzed in a very precise way, but also when we are going out of Meta on a website where there is Meta plugin or pixel of tracking installed in order to do remarketing, Meta is using those pixel of tracking in order to enrich their understanding about what are our preferences and interests. So it's super powerful. The aggregation of all those social signals enable to get that full understanding of any kind of audience. And I remember 5 years ago, a study led by the University of Cambridge and Stanford showed that from the moment of a Facebook member is liking more than 150 content, Meta knows us better than our own family. So it's super powerful. And indeed, I think we can trust in how Meta is inferring through their probabilistic model interests and preferences to each of their members.
Absolutely fascinating. Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Joe about advanced audience insights, and we've got a bunch more questions for Joe that you're not going to miss. And put your questions in the comments. We'll be happy to surface those for Joe. But first, a few reasons why you might want to consider a change to your social media tool.
So I'm hanging out here in Paris. Behind me, the iconic Eiffel Tower, which got me on Google. I did a search. What are the top tower destinations in the world? Number 3, Big Ben. Number 2, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And number 1, the Eiffel Tower. So you would always think, I need to go to the Eiffel Tower. But the fact is, all 3 of those destinations are amazing experiences. So think of towers the way you would social media. What's the right social media fit for you? When I look at the price point and the top players in the space for what you get, the most enterprise features, there's 3 players. There's Hootsuite, there's Sprout Social, and there's Agorapulse. So why is Agorapulse the right tower for you? Well, it's funny you ask. So I went to G2 because it's all the user reviews. What do we get are 5 reasons that matter to you as a marketer. Number 1, it says that we actually are the easiest one to use of those 3. Number 2, we have the best support, and you know that support is what really drives the machine when you're really frustrated. Number 3, pricing for teams. All right, you got a team? You want pricing that's affordable, that doesn't keep nickel and diming you? Agorapulse. Number 4, product direction. You are passionate about your social media features and functions, we're number 1. And number 5, campaign optimization. Are your campaigns working? Can you make them better? You tell me. G2 says those 5 reasons are what make Agorapulse the right choice over Hootsuite, over Sprout Social. Think of us as the Eiffel Tower of social media. My name is Daryl. I'm with Agorapulse.
So, Joe, you talked about Meta a little bit. You talked about using their ad platform and how a lot of the insights are coming from that. What are some of the insights that you're going to be able to surface for us that the native analytics provided by platforms like Meta wouldn't include?
Let me show you a concrete example. Let me share with you my screen in order you can see in a very tangible way what are the type of insights we can get from a digital intelligence platform. So you are in the platform, you see the platform of Surprism. Just in a very quick way, when you want to profile an audience, we have different possibility. One is profiling Facebook fan page when you have the right authorization, or the Instagram account when you have the authorization. Or you can also import and profile any kind of custom audiences you can create into the business ad manager of Meta. So based on email address listing, mobile phone numbers, people who are watching some videos on your social channels, or website visitors, for instance. The third level is open audiences, so the meta interest category. So you can directly, for instance, tap into the 2.8 billion active users and say, okay, I would like to profile audiences only located in US with a specific age range, only active into Instagram, select a gender, a language, and tap into all the meta interest category. I want to know who are the people interested in the brand Puma, and also on top of the interest in Puma, interested in sneakers, for instance. Okay, so we have an audience composed by 6.2 million people based on the different condition I have selected in my audience, and we are comparing this target audience with a benchmark audience that can be edited. So in this case, it's the same socio-demographic group of my target audience, but I could select Puma versus Nike or Adidas and have the right lens of analysis in order to generate the insights that matter and that enable me to differentiate and position my brand versus the competitor. When I'm launching a profiling, it takes 15 minutes, but what I get has output and insights is, for instance, this is a project, Puma sneakers lovers in US, and what we get typically is, yes, it's an overview where you have the main lifestyle profile that are composing your Puma sneakers lovers in US. So the fashionista, the active sporty, the brand lovers, the interior inspiration seeker, the beauty squad. There are more than 150 lifestyle profiles that are integrated, and where you have the ability to see exactly who are those over-indexed in my audience, having also a story that describe what are the main patterns and affinity of your audience, what are the main socio-demographic elements that are over-indexed, with what other brands they have a specific affinity, what are the devices they are using, with what media they have a specific relationship with. What is their relationship with events, personality, organization? What are the main content that are resonating with those Puma sneaker lovers? And what are the socio-demographic group combined with lifestyle dimension that are key in your audience? And this is only a summary of the key insights, but you have much more by knowing all the socio-demographic elements of your audience, in what specific states or city there is an over-indexing of the Puma sneakers lovers, classified, for instance, by affinity, or with what other brands, if I want to track among 7,000 interests, with other brands they have an affinity in their, for instance, in the fashion industry, I can have a full description of with all the brands they have a specific affinity with. So I think that it was more powerful to highlight and show concretely how you can get insights from a digital intelligence platform based on the fact that we are profiling an audience and we are gathering as an output 150 lifestyle segment ranking, 500 main topics, and also 7,000 some criteria to check the overlap and the affinity with brands, with personalities, with media, with lifestyle interest, on also the relationship they have with society issues or kind of topic related to potential brand positioning. So yes, as you can see, it's quite powerful, and you can get a lot of insights that are completely out of the typical basic socio-demographic insights you can get from an audience. In this case, you can also profile those first-party audiences, Facebook and Instagram account followers, and using the benchmark in the good way in order to have the right lens of understanding of that, of the audience that matter for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Robin, did you have another question?
When I was looking at it, I got so intrigued by everything and how powerful it is for a marketer to use, especially nowadays, especially with everything that's going on. Can you give a little bit more about the insights that support like tactical marketing initiatives as you were showing all of those things?
Typically, audience intelligence is the foundation of any kind of marketing and communication operations. So it's really at the center of any initiatives on the business sides for innovation, for new product launching, for promoting, for communicating and positioning a brand. But what we are observing is we have three main areas of use case that are mainly adopted by our customers. So everything links to product and brand positioning is an important one, where brands want to analyze the penetration of their competitors in a specific product category, in a specific geolocation, in a specific target group. And second use case in terms of product and brand positioning is evaluating what is the product interest before launching a product. What is the receptivity? What is the size of the potential target group by evaluating the level of interest for alternative product or the interest for the product category if it's existing already? And also in a more corporate level, what are the best corporate social responsibility approach that is resonating with the brand value of the brand value, but also the expectation of the target group. So this is the three main one for the brand and product positioning. On the research part, it's quite powerful and mainly used by marketing managers or marketers in general, which is persona validation. So they have description of persona marketing and they want to validate if those personas are really reflecting the reality in terms of their target group and the people who are really have a strong appetite for the product or the services that the brand want to deliver, or refine the persona by enriching or by shifting when there are some cultural evolution, how are shifting and evolving those persona. The second use case based on the consumer insights part is about generating a deep customer profiling. So in that case, they are using their first-party data, CRM, email address listing, and they are profiling those email address listing in order to be able to identify what are the main patterns that describe those high-value clients and how to reach those lookalike audience not yet acquired, but that have similar pattern of the customer acquired. And about the tactical use case, everything links to partnership. That could be sponsoring event, brand association, by checking the overlap between the audience in the brand, but also the event audience is quite powerful in order to select and fine-tune the selection of association and partnership. Content ideation, personalized content for different segments is also a tactical use case, quite important. Identifying in what area of influence it makes sense to create a specific relationship with a personality in order to gain a net new audience by the fact that we are reaching a new community in a specific area, and also advertising relevancy boosting, because when you know exactly who is your audience and you know for each of the different segments composing your audience what message, call to action and type of content is fitting, also what are the best type of partnership you can create, in that case is increasing the overall effectiveness and the relevancy of all your marketing initiatives to your target group.
That's absolutely fascinating. Now, we've got folks listening now and in the future on the podcast who, let's say they've gone through your process, they're actually starting to do some audience analysis and they're concerned, they don't want to make some of the common mistakes. So what are some of those challenges? What are some of those pitfalls that you've seen folks run into in the past, and how could they potentially overcome them or bypass them completely?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting point. So I think that, so the first point is about before the implementation of an audience strategy approach, in the evaluation of what could be the best solution to adopt in a company, there is a first challenge, which is about the lack of transparency, because in our industry, sometimes they are not super transparent about the methodology they are using when we are talking about data collection. And we know, and you have mentioned that previously, scraping data or gathering data in a non-compliant way could be an approach adopted by players. So I think that one of the challenges is evaluating in a good way and removing any black box when we are in the evaluation of what are the best solution fitting with the brand policy of an organization. So it's very important to identify vendors that are transparent on that side by challenging them about how they are collecting the data, what are the methodology they are applying behind that the scoring they are generating. Sometimes you have sample data that are used and you have a scoring, but you don't know that this is not based on the full data scope and only on sample. So it's really important to get a full transparency about the methodology and the way of the different vendors are collecting the data. When you have implemented your audience intelligence strategy by selecting the tool that fit with your expectation, one of the challenge, it's about the interoperability of those solutions with other tech stack. We talked about diversity, diversifying all different audience insights tool. But if you are not able to complement and create that link between one audience from one tool to another one, you are potentially creating more complexity and less clarity. So it's key to identify vendors that have the possibility that have in their core DNA that connection with the ecosystem and that consider the complementary of the different tool has something creating value and not has a way to consider other players as competitors and with which we don't want to create those relationships that are useful and valuable to enrich and create advanced understanding of audiences. So, and sometimes it's not possible to create product integration between different methodologies. So sometimes you can do that in an easy way with a one-click button. Sometimes you just need to build the right methodologies and you have to challenge your vendors if they have the ability to create the methodology to bridge one audience from one tool to another one, and if they have built that track record and that approved approach that generate this level of confidence in bridging the tools and enriching the understanding of an audience. And the last point, it's about the actionability, because sometimes marketers in the last mile, which is the data interpretation, in translating the insights from the audience intelligence tool into action plan could be a challenge. So sometimes it's because marketers, for instance, just want to generate insights that are confirming their own assumption. In that case, if the results are not going in their direction, it could create a challenge to reinforce their story. But sometimes it's also because, for instance, they have not really understood what are the strengths and weaknesses of the different methodology and how they have to use those different tools and methodologies in order to be able to extract what really matter and what is really powerful in each of these different solutions in order to build that 300 degrees understanding of an audience. And I think that to overcome that situation, it's really important to also identify vendors who is involved from the beginning of the relationship with the customer in doing the right onboarding, in investing time in doing training, and enabling the customers to share their main use case, their expectation, and having someone, a success manager, which is monitoring and supporting the customers in their ability to achieve their use case, building value, and elevating their expertise in using audience intelligence. And if this early stage is done in a good way, in many cases, the customer is fully autonomous and is building its own expertise with no requesting additional support. But it's fundamental to have a good onboarding program from the beginning and building a success plan to understand what is the objective in using audience intelligence in order to be sure that it's generating at the end value and supporting business outcome.
Yeah, and to your point, that interoperability aspect is key. If you're using or your clients are using a CRM that doesn't have any capability to integrate with other platforms, then you're blind essentially to what the data is in there. I think, Robin, you've got just one more question for Joe, and then we'll be out of time.
Yeah, Joe, real quickly, can you just tell us how agencies, because you brought this up and you said, hey, they can manipulate the facts, but how can agencies utilize these insights to win new business or enhance new other clients?
With our customer agency, we are observing that they are using our different tools on 3 different tracks. The first one and the most important one is, as you have mentioned, for when they are faced with a competition. And generally, timing to provide deliverables when there is a competition is super short, and the agency want to demonstrate their full capabilities in terms of audience segmentation and audience understanding, because now it's not a nice to have, it's really a must have to understand audiences and the different segments. So this type of solution is fitting perfectly for that needs, due to the fact that it's cost efficient, it's enabling with a high level of flexibility to get different angle of analysis of any audience. And in 50 minutes, you can get a full profiling of any kind of audience. And on the fan, the brand lovers, people engage with the different owned channel, with customer that are already connected with the brand. And it enables to create ID cards, identity cards, super easily by highlighting what are the main elements that describe any segment. So it's super powerful for pitching, and also because during the competition, you can say, oh, you have seen what we can provide as insight based on open audiences, because at that moment you have not access to the first party data of the customer. But when we will create that collaboration together, you can get also this type of output with your first party audiences, website visitors, people behind your social channels, people who are visiting your website. And we will use the same lens of analysis that the one you are observing at this moment in this presentation, and you could compare for different type of audiences, apples and apples. So it's quite powerful to use the same lens of analysis across different type of audiences. The second track is about improving operation, and you have also mentioned that point. And indeed, when an agency is working in creating recommendation for campaign, content, architecture, building, having access of those insights will help to refine the targeting, refine the messaging, improve the media selection, select the right partners. And at that moment, they have access to the first party audiences. So you can build that knowledge from a genuine audience involved and buying the product of the company. And in that case, you can also create that, you can elaborate strategy for cross and upselling, improving the retention, but also reaching lookalike audience online or offline from the insights you are gathering from those profiling based on first party data online. So it's super powerful. And the third area of value is, we are observing these last months more and more agency who are extending in a certain way their services by adding consulting offering, by highlighting the ability they have to generate deep research in a cost-efficient way about brand lovers, about consumers, about any kind of target group. So it's also a way to extend the capabilities they have on top of building strategies. Is building strategy and providing a deep understanding of those audiences. That will be the foundation of that audience strategy layer. So yeah, I think that we are in a very key momentum into the marketing area, where indeed the marketing ultra effectiveness is becoming key, and the winners will be those who will be able to put audience intelligence in the heart of any operation, innovation, positioning, to create more impact and results with less effort and investment.
Love it. So we started with Apple intelligence and we've ended with audience intelligence. Thank you so much, Joe. This has been so interesting and informative. For those who want to learn more about you or about audience, where can they go to find out?
Feel free to connect with me directly into my LinkedIn profile. Also, go to the audience.com website where you will find all the information about our different solutions and a lot of resources in order to learn, improve the understanding of this fascinating world of audience intelligence, and also have a lot of example of use case and how brands are using audience intelligence to improve their business and grow their business.
Terrific. We've got Joe and audience's links in the show description or in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast. Robin, any final thoughts?
No, this is great. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing. I feel we're on overload of AI today.
Terrific. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Joe. Thanks all of you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the MarTech Show, hosted by Robin Dimond and Mike Allton, powered by Agorapulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you want to make sure you're part of our audience during live weekly broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar, or click the subscribe button in your email once you register for any of these events. Is there a particular tool or topic you'd like to see us talk about? Or perhaps you think your solution should be featured? Email me at mike@agorapulse.com.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.